AM 630. WMAL.
7:07 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson. Wilson a little sleepy-eyed this morning because he was up all night watching the women's gymnastics team win gold.
I got a nap, but I just couldn't turn it off. I kept falling asleep and waking up and watching and falling asleep, but it's good stuff.
ABC's Alex Stone joins us now live from London. Good morning, Alex. So the women's gymnastics team wins, and they won by 5 points, which somebody said is akin to like a 50-point blowout in the NFL or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. The Fab Five, as they're called, and it really came down to Michaela Maroney and her vault. She had a perfect vault that some say should have been a 10, even though it was just shy of it. But, they got to the end of this thing in their final rotation on the floor routine, and they knew they had it. That took the pressure off, so they did really well. But it was like a victory celebration out there as they were hopping around. They knew they had already won. They were so far ahead of the French, while the French girls were sitting there sobbing because there was nothing they could do to catch up to get the gold. What's funny is in some sports, people are overly happy with bronze. Here you get silver, and you are completely unhappy and sobbing. Nonetheless, the American women, the first gold medal since 1996 in the all-around team final, since Carrie Strug stuck that landing in Atlanta, and the second time ever. Pretty incredible to see it yesterday.
That's quite a drought, and for them to win with such a huge margin was fantastic to see last night.
But they're that good. Yeah, they've been called the best ever female team for the U.S., and it really looks like they are.
But there was early on in the game some conflict within the team of coaches, right? About the lineup, and they were all sniping at one another. Does this sort of smooth all that over?
It would seem like it would, and that was going on early on because it is such a good team, and that was also the situation with Jordyn Wieber not making the individual all-arounds, which come up tomorrow, and she is arguably the best one on the team, at least has a history of being the best, that they were so good that you put all of these good people together, and the best of the best may not make it because the other two may be better that day, that typically you have the good ones and you have kind of backup gymnasts. In this case, it is 5 awesome gymnasts, and what rotation would they be in? Where would they be in? There were other great ones who didn't make it. It just happens to be that great of a year.
Right. So Jordyn Wieber, probably our best gymnast, but didn't qualify for the overall individual because there were 2 other Americans that beat her out, and you're only allowed to have 2 competitors per country competing in the individual, the way I understood it. I don't know
and it used to be 3. They changed the rules a few years ago, so it'll be Allie Raisman and Gabby Douglas moving forward, and Jordyn is the all-around world champion. She was the one expected just to make it, and she had a little bit of an off day a couple days ago when they were going through qualifications.
I have to say, though,
Allie Raisman and Gabby Douglas, the flying squirrel as she's called, they're moving forward. But they're all good. Not to say that anybody is not good. They're all pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, I do feel bad for her, though, because, she's good enough to make it on the individual level. It's just the fact that there were 2 other Americans, but she's better than a lot of the other competitors that will get a chance to win gold. It's a little unfair. I see where their coach was kind of complaining about that, and I see where their point of view on that. Meanwhile, in the pool, Michael Phelps is now the all-time leader in Olympic medals.
He has 19 medals in one of the UK papers here today. The headline says, Michael Phelps, greatest Olympian ever or most decorated Olympian ever? And a lot of people here are arguing most decorated, not greatest. I think in the U.S. you would have a different feeling on that. But the 4x200 meter freestyle relay, and kind of like in gymnastics where at the end they knew they had it, he was so far ahead, it was like he was in his own pool. He could have gotten to the end and had a glass of Merlot and sat there and smiled down his nails and said, where are you guys? Come on. At least he was able to take the gold in that style. His first gold of these games. It breaks the record, and he looked quite happy at the end of it. He didn't look so happy in the race before that, the 200 butterfly, when he took silver and lost it, the lead at least, right at the end because he was gliding in when the other swimmer was able to come in and hit the wall. He threw his cap and didn't look happy, but came back, won that gold, and looked very, very pleased.
Yesterday we were talking about how there had been some criticism leveled at the young Chinese swimmer who is just blowing up all the records.
Yeah, she win.
Yeah, and that maybe there was some doping. Some people had suggested there was doping, and I heard that the Chinese people also suggested that maybe Michael Phelps was doing something wrong.
Yeah, they're throwing it back, and the Chinese media today really lashing out at the American media, saying we're very, very petty and that we're jealous to think that Chinese could actually win, and that we're just blown away and we can't believe it, so we're coming up with all these excuses. It continues since Yishi won another gold last night. People are again talking, but the Olympic Committee came out yesterday and held a news conference and told the media, stop it. They've heard enough of it. This is a 16-year-old competitor who is winning gold, and they've tested her. She's completely on the up and up, and that everybody needs to back off with these rumors. But the rumors do continue, and the Chinese media is not liking what they're seeing in the American media, so they're kind of tossing it back our way.
Well, this guy here in American media will say just because they tested you doesn't necessarily mean you're on the up and up. you can get away with a lot of things. All right, so there's this controversy.
Just like Lance.
Yeah, right. Well, Lance Armstrong, that's been a huge controversy for years. But to the controversy at the Olympics about the badminton teams.
Yeah.
All right, I mean, the fact that you're talking about badminton is probably good for the sport because there is a controversy, but teams were losing on purpose. Why? What was behind that method?
Well, yeah, and if you guys see this video today, it's pretty funny. They're standing up at the net, and they've got the shuttlecock, and they're just tapping it, and then they drop it, and tap it, and drop it. And they're very clearly trying to lose, and it's China, South Korea, and Indonesia, and they admit that they were doing this to try to get a better draw in the next round. So they're in a disciplinary hearing right now to figure out if they're going to be disciplined for this. The referee came in and said, ladies, you actually have to play. You can't sit here and just forfeit these games. And they pretty much gave them the middle finger and said, we've already made it to the next round. We want a better seed, a better draw in the next round, so we're trying to lose. And referees, I don't know what to do. This has never happened in badminton before.
Right.
So now they may find themselves kicked out of the Olympics.
Wow.
They may not be
really?
at all. But, I mean, you and I could play better in our backyard drinking a six-pack of beer than what they were doing there right then. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I tend to side with the teams, though, because if it's a better draw and if the ultimate goal is to win the gold and you think you have a better chance of doing that with a draw with you losing, then why not do that? It would be like, a team, say, losing on purpose at the end of an NFL season or an end of the NBA season to get a better chance at the number one pick. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Although, the Olympics don't like it. People were booing in the crowd because they spent a lot of money to have tickets there, and the Olympics are a big show, essentially. It's a PR show, and they want that image of everybody trying their hardest.
The one thing I think we can all agree on, though, when it comes to badminton is that shuttlecock is perhaps the funniest word ever.
Yes, it is.
I did say to my colleague today, this is the first time I think I've ever said shuttlecock on the air.
All right, what's going on today?
We got basketball, women's basketball to get today versus Turkey, and then tonight in the pool, Allison Schmitt and Missy Franklin, the 4x200 meter freestyle, what the guys did yesterday. Also, Kerry Walsh-Jennings does have to play tonight in beach volleyball, but she's got a bad case of pink eye. She says it's better than it looks, but it's all swollen and pink and goopy. But she says she's still out there and still going to win the gold in beach volleyball.
Man, that's contagious stuff. I don't know.
Her husband's got it too, and he's here as well. He's a professional volleyball player, and he's got it even worse than she does.
She's going to wipe the sweat off her face, get it on her hand, and when she serves, the competitors are going to want to get
the opposing team.
I'd have to play with gloves on or something. All right, Alex, it's always great to talk to you. We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
ABC's Alex Stone live from London at the Olympics. Michael Phelps, if Michael Phelps isn't the greatest Olympian of all time, then who is? I guess it would be maybe Carl Lewis. He was pretty good, that's for sure. But it's got to be an American. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I give Michael Phelps his